Let's talk about buyers. A lot of people don't talk about buyers early enough, I think, or at the right time in their process, in their business, whatever the case is. And most people, I think, too, struggle to really understand the market, who's active in your market. It all comes down to the same thing. The point being that you need to be consistently talking to buyers, building relationships, building what you may have heard called as your buyer's list. You may call it your buyer's list. Most people do this wrong. So what most people in the industry will end up doing is finding a deal and then going to find a buyer. Forever, the way we have been most successful is by building the buyer's list first, right? How do you create a pool of hungry buyers that are sitting there waiting for something? They're waiting to purchase, and you're feeding them things that you know they're gonna want because you've had the conversation of what they wanna buy. You've had the conversation of what they're looking for, what their next project is, because they have a buyer that's looking for this. Wherever it comes from, you know what you're trying to target. That doesn't come from just calling up every buyer and be like, hey, what are you trying to buy today? This is a relationship game. You know, the buyer that you talk to today is probably somebody you're not selling next week. You're gonna sell them 6 months from now, 3 months from now, whatever the case is. But that comes from the mentality of, I'm not calling to sell, I'm calling because I see that you're active, I see that you just did a deal, or I see that you're marketing this property. Just wanted to connect. I'm an investor in the neighborhood. I do this, I do that. What do you do? How's it going? Are you moving deals? Do you need this? Do you need that? By profiling everybody this way, now I can sit in front of a whole pool and say, okay, I've got this buyer looking for this, and I know I can go get this property. I'm starting to connect dots now. I'm making connections between a buyer and a seller. That's your job, sitting in between there. By having the buyers lined up first and making sure that I'm communicating with them, I essentially can control the entire market, because I can go find a wholesaler that has a deal that I might not have and sell it to that buyer, right? That's a pretty simple thing to put together. But it all starts with the buyer's list. And here's what I'll tell you about the buyer's list. A, you're probably not doing it consistently enough, right? Are you talking to buyers every week, whether it's a new buyer, an old buyer, somebody you haven't talked to in a while, whatever the case is? Is there consistent action happening every single week in communicating with buyers and in developing the relationship with the buyers, in growing the buyer's list? Two, do you even know who all the buyers are in your market and whatever you're targeting? In most cases, I can sit down with investors across the country, wholesaler, flipper, whatever the case is, and I can run a quick data check and in 5 minutes know who all the big players are in that market and have their cell phone number and email address. So why aren't you communicating with them? These are the people buying and actively moving properties in your market. These are the people you should be talking to every single week, because it gets really easy to do the deal if you know, hey, I have 5 buyers that are looking for this, and those 5 buyers, it's a similar property they're looking for. Now I can go market for that easily, and I have 5 potential ways to move that out. That only happens by building a buyer's list and starting to grow it from the beginning, consistently getting things of value in front of them, and consistently having conversations, consistently keeping your pulse on who is doing what in the market you are trying to do deals in. It's crazy to me still that I come across people who are trying to do deals and they have no idea, zero knowledge of what's happening in their market, in the marketplace, whether you're spending marketing dollars or not. This is the first thing you can do with data, is get in there and see, let's see everybody who bought a property in the last 90 days, right? And we don't want owner occs, let's say, so let's just focus on the non-owner occs, the investors who have bought properties in the last 90 days. Just pulling that list and skip tracing it, when done the right way, you'll have a list of every buyer that's purchased in the last 90 days that's an investor. More importantly, as you sort that list and you look through it, you'll know who are the people that bought 1 property, who are the one that bought 3, who owns multiples, who came in as a fund and bought 40 properties or 20 properties. This is all the insight you get by trying to build that buyer's list. Not just by, hey, I have something to sell you, but let me go find out who's actively doing deals in my market. Let me reach out to them, start a relationship, see if there's something I can do with them. Maybe I have a deal right now, maybe not. I don't care. I'm gonna consistently build that list. And little trick, if you have deals that you've already moved, you've already sold those, you gotta do this the right way. But if you have deals you've already sold, you can use those to attract buyers as well and grow your buyer's list. hey, I don't have that property is moved, or maybe it's already under contract, but you know you can get another 4 just like it. That's when you should be pushing on that. That's an example of like, hey, this one's not available, but if I can find you a property just like this, where the numbers are similar, is that something you could close on quickly? That's how you develop that relationship with the buyers consistently. And now instead of trying to figure out how you're gonna do a deal, it's painted right in front of you. It's basically a coloring book, right? Get me these 4 things and I will buy that property. Cool, that's easy. Now it's just a mission of going and finding that. Focus on building that buyer's list consistently. Stop selling to the buyer's list and build a buyer's list of relationships, of buyers that are sitting and waiting, hungry for properties, and that you know what they're looking for. That way, when you bring them a deal, it's an actual deal. They don't have to say no. You don't have to go through 3 to 5 rounds. You bring them a deal, it's exactly what they wanted. Think about the time and energy you save them by doing it that way, by focusing on the buyer first and foremost, and then putting the deal together secondary. Build the buyers list, consistently do it, and consistently keep communicating with these buyers. Every 3 months, you should know what they're doing, what they're buying, what they're working on. Are they looking for another deal? Are they not? When's the next opportunity? Anytime there's a market shift, you should be reaching out to them. Anytime there is a interest rate change, if there's a stock market change, if you have a lot of buyers that are investors, maybe out-of-state owners buying rental properties, realize that they're investors, right? So they probably have a piece of their portfolio or a piece of their assets invested in the market. So if the market takes a bath one day, that's a disruptive factor that now I can reach out to those buyers on and just touch base. These are the actions that keep that relationship going and growing really through the years so that I can serve that buyer at the highest level.